move to the statements. A statement is a unit of code that the Python interpreter can execute. A script usually contains a sequence of statements. The assignment statement produces no output. It only assigns the value to the variable, but it does not print any output. Only if we call the variable, then only the value assigned to that variable will be executed and shown to the coder, or that value will be resulted as an output. For example, if I type print 1, I got the output as 1. For example, if I assign value 30 to the variable a, as per the statements, a statement is just a statement where the value will be assigned to the variable. It will not result an output. Means when we assign a value to the variable, just because of the reason that we have assigned a value to the variable will not show an output. We need to call it either by using the print method or directly. Let us call directly by typing a in the interpreter, and also by typing print the value of the variable will be shown as an output. So now let's talk about the operators and operands. Operators are special symbols that represent computations like addition and multiplication. The values the operator is applied to are called operands. The operators plus, minus, multiplication, division, and exponentiation are all have the symbols in Python. For example, plus is used for addition, minus is used for subtraction, star, single star is used for multiplication, and double star is used for exponentiation. Single division, single forward slash is used as an division. For example, if I type 20 plus 40, I will get the answer as 60. So here the addition has been takes place. Let us subtract using the minus operator. For example, 30 minus 5. I got the answer as 25. Let us use the star symbol to do the multiplication operation. For example, 7 multiplied by 6. Let us divide 80 with the single forward slash by 10. Notice that the result is of type float. If we use double star instead of multiplication, the exponentiation will take place. For example, 3 double star 3. We got the answer 27. If we use double forward slash instead of single forward slash, the division takes place and it gives the remainder of the division operation. For example, 80 divided by 10. Let us use the double forward slash. Here we got 8 instead of 8.0. Means when we use double forward slash to divide any number, the result will be rounded to nearest integer value. For example, 80 divided by once again 9. We got 80 only. Let us check with the value 8. We got 10. If I check with the value 7, here it is 11.42. What if I use the same value 7 with the double forward slash? We got 11. If I divide it by 6, we got 13.33. If we repeat the same, we got 13. Let us divide 80 by 6.5 and see what happens. 12.30. So let us divide it by 6.7. So we got 11.9. So if we use the double forward slash instead of single one with the value 6.7, so here you can see whatever may be the result, it will be rounded to an integer value, and the right characters or the right values after the digits will be omitted. Suppose if we use percentage symbol instead of single forward slash or double forward slash, we will get a remainder as the output. Suppose if we use the parentheses in an operations or expression, then parentheses will be performed first and then the remaining expressions will be operated. For example, if I use 7 multiplied by or 7 plus 3 inside the parentheses multiplied by another expression, for example 4 minus 3. Here the addition operation inside the first parenthesis will take place first, and then the subtraction operation inside the second parenthesis will take place. Finally, the results will be multiplied. Let us see the answer. So as usually 7 plus 3 is nothing but 10 and 4 minus 3 is nothing but 1. So 10 into 1 is nothing but 10. Let's copy this, type. Let us change the value from 4 to 6. 7 plus 3 is nothing but 10 and 6 minus 3 is nothing but 3. 10 into 3 is nothing but 30. So this is how we can operate with the different operators. Here all these are called as an operators. For addition plus, for subtraction minus, for multiplication single star, for exponentiation double star, for division with the digits after the decimal single forward slash, rounded digits without the digits after the decimal point, double forward slash, and for just for the remainder percentage, and parentheses to operate initially before evaluating the other expressions inside the main expression. So we are talking about the operations, operators, and expression. Let us see what is an expression. An expression is a combination of values, variables, and operators. So it is a combination of values, variables, and operators. A value all by itself is considered as an expression if there is no variables and operators. And also, variable means a valid variable itself is considered as an expression. So let us see the legal expressions inside the interpreter. 17, I just typed, is an legal expression because an expression is a combination of values, variables, and operators, or a value all by itself is considered as an expression. So 17 is a value. I have not assigned it to any variable, but as per the expression definition, the value 17 has been treated as an expression and interpreter has evaluated it. Next, if I type x is equal to, let us assign some value 3, and once again if I use the same assigned value and do the addition operation with the already existed value, we got the result as 20. So here x is an variable whereas 17 is an value. Let us put the another value instead of 17 and see the result. So 20 is a new value, it is not a variable. X is the variable. So 20, it is the new value added to the existing variable. Means expression is a combination of values and variables and operators. So here the operator is nothing but plus. If I use multiple operators, say for example x plus 20, as I told earlier, expression is a combination of values, variables, and operators. Once again, let us use the value 3. Here there are two operators are operating on this expression, and this expression consists of variable x and two values 23 and two operators plus and multiplication. Let us see what happens by pressing enter. Here multiplication has been taken place first, and then the value assigned to the variable 3 has been added to the result of this multiplication. This is as per the operators precedence or operations precedence, or it is also called as an order of operations or operators precedence rule. So we will talk about in a moment. Wait for a few seconds. One thing we should notice about the expressions or expression is interpreter will evaluate the expressions or expression and displays the result. It will display the result. It is not an throwing the output or resulting the output. It displays the result, but usually we call it as an output. Okay, but in a script file, an expression all by itself does not do anything. So it will just evaluate inside the script file, and script file, when we run, the expression by itself will not result any output or will not display the result. The result will be displayed only for the variable. Okay, whatever the values of the expression or operators or operations assigned to the variable will be displayed only if we call those variables. Let us see one example. So here I will type 5. Interpreter has evaluated it and displays the result. Suppose if I use x is equal to 5, and once again we can notice that when I assign value 5 to the variable x, it does not display the result. Suppose if I use x plus 1, immediately it has displayed the values as 6. It means interpreter will display the result in an interactive mode. So typing this x plus 1 is nothing but an interactive mode. So x plus 20 is an interactive mode. Inside the parenthesis 7 plus 3 multiplied by inside the parenthesis 4 minus 3. This is nothing but an interactive mode. This is not the interactive mode. X is equal to 5. Because we have assigned value to the variable x, the variable x value will be displayed only when we call the variable x. Otherwise, the interpreter will not show any result assigned to the variable by itself. So this is the meaning of this sentence. Means if we type an expression in an interactive mode, the interpreter evaluates it and displays the result. But in a script, an expression all by itself does not do anything. So this is a common confusion which arises for the beginners. So here is the explanation for this confusion. I hope you got the answer for your confusion. So let us talk about the order of operations, or it is also called as an precedence rule, operator's precedence rule. I talk about this, or I will explain this order of operations or precedence rule in detail in the separate section of arithmetic operators. But here I will just talk about the precedence. Okay, operators precedence or order of operations. When more than one operator appears in an expression, The order of evaluation depends on the rules of precedence. That is nothing but order of precedence, operators precedence. For mathematical operators, Python follows mathematical convention. The acronym PEMDAS, PEMDAS, is a useful way to remember the rules. So here P stands for parenthesis, E stands for exponentiation, M stands for multiplication, D stands for division, A stands for addition, and finally S stands for subtraction. So parentheses have the highest precedence and can be used to force an expression to evaluate in the order we want. So we can also use the parentheses to make our expression easier to read, so it will not change any result. Parentheses are used for better performance. So I strongly recommend you to use parentheses whenever you try to execute or work with the mathematical expressions. Okay, equations or statements or whatever may be the mathematical expressions. The second rule of precedence is exponentiation as the next highest precedence. Multiplication and division have the same precedence. First multiplication will take place and then the division. When occurs multiplication and division only in the expression, multiplication will take place first and then the division. Based on whether it is in the expression is going from left to right or from right to left. So we talk about those direction, whether from left to right or from right to left, in detail in the coming section. After multiplication and division, addition and subtraction, which have the last precedence, but they also have the same precedence. Last priority but the same precedence. Operators with the same precedence are evaluated from left to right. So you can see operators with the same precedence are evaluated from left to right. Means if I use division first and multiplication second inside the expression, then the operators with the same precedence are evaluated from left to right. Means division will take place first and then the multiplication. It is applicable for addition and subtraction because they have the same precedence. Let us see here in practical work. For left to right, let us work with the division and multiplication. Division 6 divided by 3. All we know that 6 divided by 3 is nothing but, and 8 multiplied by 2 is nothing but 16. The result should be 16. Let us see 6 divided by 3 multiplied by 3 or 2. So this is the single expression, 6 divided by 3 multiplied by 2. So as per our precedence rule, multiplication and division have the same precedence, but operators with the same precedence are evaluated from left to right. Left to means 6 divided by 3, it is left, and 3 multiplied by 2, it is nothing but right. But 6 divided by 3, which is the left part in this expression, will be evaluated first as per the precedence rule, and then the multiplication, because operators with the same precedence are evaluated from left to right. Let us execute this by pressing the enter key. So it is true that 6 divided by 3 is nothing but 2, and then 2 multiplied by 2 is nothing but 4. Let us change this 2 to 4. So once again, 6 divided by 3 is nothing but 8, and 8 into 4 is 6 divided by 3 is nothing but 2, and 2 into 4 is nothing but 8. If I use 1 instead of 4, we got the result as 2 expected. Suppose if I reverse this operation, for example 3 multiplied by 2 divided by 6, or in the same expression, let us remove this, in the same expression, let us change this division to multiplication and multiplication to division. Now as per the rule of precedence, operators with the same precedence are evaluated from left to right. So multiplication takes place first and then the division. Let us see whether it happens or not. Also by changing 1, 3 only. Okay. Yes, you can see here 6 multiplied by 3 is nothing but 18. 18 divided by 2 is nothing but 9. Let us change 3 to 1 and see what happens. Yes, 6 divided by 1 is nothing but 6, and 6 into 2 is nothing but 12. Similarly, you can check the addition and subtraction by yourself. So if we have any doubt while evaluating the mathematical expressions, especially in probability and statistics, or if you are planning to do data analysis, then I strongly recommend you to use parentheses. Suppose if you have a doubt about the order of operations, or if you forgot the rule of precedence, and if you try to evaluate an expression, then use the parentheses. Okay, so always put parentheses in your expressions to make sure that computations are performed in the order you intended, because mathematical expressions consists of lot of operations. The expression itself consists of lot of operations with lot of the mathematical symbols: square root, multiplication, exponentiation, division, and then subtotal, total sum, etc., etc. So it is better to use parentheses, and it must be, parentheses must be while evaluating the mathematical expressions, if I strictly speak about it. Okay, so next let us talk about the modulus operator. The modulus operator works on integers and yields the remainder when the first operand is divided by the second. In Python, the modulus operator is a percent sign. For example, here another quotient is equal to 7 divided by 3. The quotient is nothing but 2, because double forward slash will omit the values after the decimal point. Suppose if I use remainder, or suppose if I use percentage, then I will get the remainder instead of the quotient with the decimal point or without the decimal point. So here you can see the remainder is 1. It means 7 divided by 3 is 2 with 1 left over. The modulus operator turns out to be surprisingly useful. For example, we can check whether one number is divisible by another number. If x percentage y is 0, then x is completely divisible by y. So we can also extract the rightmost digit or digits from a number. For example, x percentage 10 yields the rightmost digit of x. Similarly, x percentage 100 yields the last 2 digits. For example, 3000 percentage 100. Or if I use the percentage for only 3 cannot be divided by 100, so I got the remainder as 3 itself. 99 cannot be divisible by 100 exactly, or 101 or 150 cannot be divisible by 100 exactly. So we got the last 2 digits, the remainder with the last 2 digits. So this is the explanation of modulus operator. So it helps to separate the even and odd numbers in many applications, and it has many applications. We talk about these applications later in this course. Next, we have the string operations. The plus operator works with the strings, but it is not addition in the mathematical sense. Instead, it performs concatenation. The word concatenation means just join the 2 strings together side by side, like my fingers. For example, hello and then world, hello world. Okay, even if they are numbers, for example 52, it is not 52, it is just 52, a string. Okay, so a string operation performs concatenation, which means joining the strings by linking them end to end, just end to end. Okay, for example, here I have first is equal to 10, second I have 15. If I type print first plus second, I got 25. This is with respect to the integers, because 10 and 15 are integers, not strings. what if I use first as 100 inside the single inverted comma and second is equal to 150 inside the inverted comma, and if I combine using the plus operator as per the string operation with the plus operator, we will get the concatenated output like 100 and then 150. They are just concatenated side by side. So that is the definition. Strings are joining by linking them end to end. So here 100 which is inside the quote, 150 which is inside the quote are treated as strings, and then inside the addition operation the concatenation has been taken place. The star operator, that means the multiplication operator, also works with strings by multiplying the content of a string by an integer. For example, so let us use first is equal to test. I have assigned a value test, that is the string value, to the variable first, and second is equal to 3, means 3 has been assigned to the variable second. If I multiply first with the second, I got test, means test has been 3 times multiplied, means 3 times it has been concatenated. How to read is nothing but it is not the multiplication. 3 times test has been concatenated. Okay. If I use inside the print statement, the result will be slightly different. There is no inverted comma when we use the print statement. Suppose if we use the space inside the string, then the space will also be considered as string. For example, if I change the test value to test space and then the inverted comma, so look at here, I have used space here, and then second, as usually we have, let us print with the first multiplied by second and see what happens. So look at here, just by looking at the output of the print statement, anyone can easily guess that these testers have the space in the output, but actually no, because we have used space while assigning this string value to the variable first. Test with the space is a complete string or text value. Are you getting my point? Test and then space, test followed by, the space followed by the test, which is inside the inverted comma, double inverted comma. This test space is completely inside the inverted comma. So test space, this complete characters or complete words which are inside the inverted comma is treated as string. So test space, when I multiply this 3 times, concatenation of the test will take place 3 times, means side by side, test space, and then test space. So here you can see in the last test there is a space if you look at the sentence, I will highlight. So here, see here, the cursor is blinking followed by the space, and if you observe this output without the space, okay, here just above this second output. So look at here, the cursor is not following the space, the cursor is blinking exactly beside the character T next to it, but in the second output the cursor is blinking followed by the space because we have used space in the string. So please carefully observe this output. Okay, these are the smallest things which what we can say, we can't easily identify these small things while coding, but these small things will become a big mistake in the interview process. Even I did the same. Okay, I did the same while learning. So listen to these small things carefully. Let's talk about the input method. Sometimes in interview a common question will be asked, that is nothing but how to get the input from the user using keyboard. How to get the input values from the user using keyboard. The common answer is, I will use keyboard to provide input. Without keyboard you can use speech method to convert your speech into text. But the common question is how to get input from the user. So the answer is, we can use the input method or input function which is provided by the Python. So the explanation here goes like, sometimes if we would like to have, or if we would like to take the value for a variable from the user via their keyboard, Python provides a built-in function called input that gets input from the keyboard. So when this function is called, the program stops and waits for the user to type something. This is very important. When this function is called, the program stops. It will not move, or it will not go to the further step. It will wait for the input from the user. When the user presses return or enter, the program returns and resumes, and the input returns what the user typed as a string. Okay, input will input alone without any special typecasting. It will just accept whatever the value assigned by the user or given by the user as a string. So let us see practically how it works. Let us take some value. For example, string 1 is equal to input, or we can say that yes, string 1 is equal to input. This is the input, is the function which waits for the input from the user. Let us press enter. So look at here, it is waiting for the input. Let us type my name Pruthvi and then press enter. So look at here, the cursor is blinking after getting the value from the user. So if I use this input function again, let us press enter and let us press one more enter. So look at here, the interpreter treated the second enter as the empty input given by the user. Okay, so if we do not give any input, it will be treated as an empty input. And if I print, or if we print the input value given by the user using the print statement, we will get the output as empty, because the last value assigned to the variable string1 is nothing but empty. Don't get confused. Okay, here the variables can be overloaded. Variables can take different values and also of different type. Means we can assign values of different type to a variable. The last value assigned to a variable will be considered as the value of that variable for the execution or for the remaining operations. Once again, if I run the same expression and if I provide the value as Prithvi without any space, and let us print now what is there inside string1. So we got the value as Prithvi. So this is how we can give the value from the keyboard. The good practice is, before getting input from the user, it is good idea to print a prompt telling the user what to print. So we can pass a string to input to be displayed to the user before passing for input. For example, name is equal to input and then asking what is your name, question mark. If we use backward slash preceded by n, then we can see the string displayed in front of us to get the value from the user. It is asking exactly what is required by the programmer from the user, by the programmer from the user. So here the user has to enter his name for the programmer. So let us write the name and type enter. If I print or if I type name, I got the name as Pruth. So the backward slash preceded by n at the end of the prompt represents a new line, which is a special character that causes a line break. That's why the user's input appears below the prompt. Suppose if we want the user to type an integer, we can try to convert the return value to int using the int function. So for example, speed. Let us ask the user to enter the speed. Enter the speed in kilometer. And this is the variable speed, which should be entered in kilometer. Let us get the input from the user. Input and then speed. If I just type, for example, 15 kilometer, let us see what happens. We got the value 15 as a string, not the integer value. So in order to convert it to an integer value, we need to use the int, okay, int function. So how to use int function? Before input, use int, and then use the input statement inside the int. So this is nothing but the typecasting, means converting the string value to an integer value. The string value must be with the digits, okay, means inside the string there should be a digits, not any alphabetical characters, means from 0 to 9, then only it will be typecasted to an int. Let us see what happens. Now type 15. Now input underscore user. So look at here, I got the output as 15. Earlier I got the output as string, because here there is no int function, but after using the int function we got the result in the form of integer. So directly I can convert any integer value, sorry, any string value which is having only the digits from 0 to 9 to an integer value. For example, int, inside the string expression, let us type 15. So look at here, the string 15 has been converted to an integer value. Suppose if I use any word, for example text, and if I try to convert, the interpreter will throw an error. It says invalid literal for int. So valid literal is the string value which consists of the digits from 0 to 9. A to Z are nothing but the letters or alphabets. 0 to 9 are nothing but the digits. Okay, the valid literal to convert from string to integer is nothing but from 0 to 9. What if I use addition or subtraction symbol inside the string type, for example -10? See, -10 is nothing but 10 is nothing but digits. 1 and 0 are nothing but digits, and minus is the operator, unary operator. Okay, let us see what happens here. So we got -10. So int will check whether it is an means whether the digit has an addition or subtraction in front of it. So I got the value as -10. What happens if I use int 10 multiplied by 3? Let us see what happens. Okay, invalid literal for int with the base 10. So string operation cannot evaluate 10 into 3 because which is inside the inverted comma, whereas the minus, addition and subtraction, these are nothing but the unary operators, whereas multiplication is nothing but binary operator, so it cannot evaluate. Suppose if I use int and multiplication symbol, for example star and then 10, let us see what happens. So look at here, we got invalid literal for int. Yes, this is because of the operator type, whether it is an unary operator or binary operator. So we talk about this type of operator later in this course, but just for the sake of illustration, here I have shown how the typecasting takes place. Okay. Next we have in the variables, expressions and statements the comments. Okay. How to write comments in Python? This is very important. As a program, means as programs get bigger and more complicated, they get more difficult to read. Formal languages are dense and it is often difficult to look at a piece of code and figure out what it is doing or why. So for this reason, it is a good idea to add nodes to your programs to explain in natural language what the program is doing. So these nodes are called comments, and in Python they start with the hash symbol. If I use hash and whatever I type in front of the hash will be treated as a comment. So empty comment is nothing but just using the hash without any word. Okay. For example, if we write velocity v is equal to 5, it does not give any sense, right? If I type v is equal to 5, the user cannot understand what it is. So if I type with the comment enter the speed in kilometer or enter the velocity in meter per second, then user will be given an hint that he is going to enter the value for the programmer. So here if I type v is equal to 5 once again, it is understood that I am entering the velocity in meter per second, 5 meter per second. So comment contains an useful information and which is not inside the code. Means whenever the interpreter or script file finds an hash symbol or whenever it encounters the hash symbol, then it will be treated as an comment. So comments helps a lot in program. Comments are most useful when they document non-obvious features of the code. It is reasonable to assume that the reader can figure out what the code does. It is much more useful to explain why. Okay. Sometimes we write programs and after a long time, if we come back and see the program without any comments, we only get many confusions and many doubts. So we will be under abnormal conditions because of no hint, because we have not put any hint while creating the program or code. So we will be in trouble. What if others follow our code without any useful information inside the program? He will be getting more and more tension instead of boring. Okay, he is interested but there is no hint what to do further. That's why a good variable names can also reduce the use of comments. So good variable name sometimes can also replace the commenting option, but it doesn't mean that comments are not at all necessary. Comments are necessary, but instead of putting more and more comments, we can use a valuable variable names. For example, here I have typed velocity in meter per second. Suppose if I type the same instead of the comment, let us see velocity underscore in meter per second. So this looks very nice, right? Velocity in meter per second is equal to 5. That's it. Or v underscore velocity. Velocity, if I just type velocity, that is also an acceptable valid variable and valuable variable or good variable. So if I type 5, then also it is acceptable. Sometimes we cannot able to put long variable name, or we can't able to use long identifiers. Velocity in meters per second for something. So if the variable name is trying to get or trying to consume more words, then better use comments and then use the simple variable name. Okay, so avoid too many words in variable or identifier. So it means long names can make complex expressions hard to read. So in that case, there is a trade-off for comments. So comments help to reduce the long expressions to a simple variable names, and also wherever there is possible, avoid using the long comments and use the suitable variable names or identifiers. So this is all about the comments, how to use the comments, why we have to use comments, how comments help, and how comments reduce and save programmer as well as the user's time of thinking. Okay, now let us talk about choosing the mnemonic variable names. As long as you follow the simple rules of variable naming and avoid reserved words, you have a lot of choice when you name your variables. In the beginning, this choice can be confusing both when you read a program and when you write your own programs. Wisely chosen names are referred as mnemonic variable names. The word mnemonic means memory aid. For example, here if I use the word hours is equal to 35, it means there are 35 hours lapsed. Okay. Second example is rate. Rate is equal to 12 at the rate, or it may be price. For example, pay is equal to hours multiplied by rate. Once again, it is a good idea that pay is nothing but hours multiplied by the price or amount per hour. So these are nothing but the mnemonic variables which helps us to remember the code very easily. Okay, So try to use the mnemonic variables wherever possible, and from our side we strongly recommend you to use the mnemonic variables as much as possible to remember the code easily or to work with the project easily and solve the issues as early as possible. So thank you. Let us meet in the next session.